Hi, welcome to the Impact Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Beck, and today we're going to be digging into one of my favorite topics. We're going to be talking about conversational and social selling. Have you ever been approached by somebody in person or online, maybe on LinkedIn, and it just was an awkward, uncomfortable interaction? They reach out to you, it immediately is uncomfortable. They start selling to you right away. There's no attempt at building a relationship. It just rubs you the wrong way. We're going to be talking about that, how not to do that. And more importantly, we're going to be talking about all the things that you should be doing about developing the right relationships and how you should approach people. Our guest today is an expert in social selling, and she's going to be talking today about how to approach people both online and in person, and how you really should handle the interaction, how you should look at it. See, the fact is, you have to accept and understand that the average person out there doesn't really care about you or what you offer. Their priority, their number one focus is how what it is that you offer will impact them, what they will benefit from, how it will impact them, what value you bring, and more importantly, how their life will look differently as a result of what it is that you offer. So it's most important that you put that in the forefront of your mind and that you think clearly about how you want to approach people. See, you can either rub people the wrong way and make it extremely difficult for you to be able to develop a successful relationship, or you can approach them the right way, conversationally, in more of a social way, and develop and nurture a relationship. It may never lead to business, but you will find yourself setting yourself up for a higher level of success when you do that. Our guest today is an expert in this line of work. She has helped people across the world be able to handle interactions the right way, conversationally, and more importantly, setting you up for success by developing and nurturing the relationship in more of a social interaction. You're going to leave behind the awkwardness, the uncomfortable feeling. You're just going to get into some natural conversational elements with people, and you're going to find that good things will follow. Ultimately, it's all about putting them first and learning exactly what you can about them, and then gradually bringing them along to what it is that you might be able to do to help. This is going to be a great episode. Our guest helps transform the way professionals sell by converting connections to conversations. She's a LinkedIn and Sales Navigator expert. She's an author and host of Making Sales Social podcast. She's also the CEO of Social Sales Link. Stay tuned for our guest, Brynne Tillman, coming up next on the Impact Sales podcast. Don't go anywhere. Are you an entrepreneur or a sales professional who's struggling to close sales for your business? Are your prospects telling you how much they love what you're showing them, but they just aren't pulling the trigger and moving forward? Or maybe you have that prospect who has all kinds of pricing objections and you just aren't able to get them to move forward. Well, if you're experiencing any of these things, I'd like to help. For well over 30 years, and after tens of thousands of live sales interactions and hundreds of millions of dollars of successful closed transactions, I've developed a proprietary sales system that can help you overcome these hurdles to your success. I'd like to offer you a complimentary sales strategy session to talk about what's going on with sales in your business, and more importantly, how you can use elements of this system to generate the type of sales that you'd like for your business. You don't have to settle for mediocre sales results when you can crush your sales goals with the right approach. You can schedule your complimentary Impact Sales strategy session by texting the word sales to the number 321-421-5213, or going onto our website at www.thesalesactivist.com. I look forward to speaking with you. Welcome back to the Impact Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Beck, and I have a very special guest with me today. I'd like to introduce her. She's transforming the way professionals sell by converting connections to conversations. She's a LinkedIn and Sales Navigator training expert. She's also a LinkedIn author and the host of Making Sales Social podcast. And she's the CEO of Social Sales Link. Please welcome to the Impact Sales Podcast, Brynne Tillman. Hey, Brynne, how are you?
Joe, thanks so much for having me today. This is so
No,
exciting.
it's my pleasure. We're honored to have you with us. When I was making a short list of people that I wanted to have on the podcast, you were right up there. So Really looking forward to this conversation. I've been thinking about it the last couple of days. I'm going to do my very level best not to do my complete sales geek routine when I'm talking about these things. I get emotional when I hear about sales things. I don't know why. Been in the business a long time, so it's kind of it. So I like to start off these podcasts, Brynne, with a simple question of our guest. How did you personally get started in sales?
You know, by accident, I think a lot of people probably did. I was working for Dun and Bradstreet in an inbound call center as an order taker right out of
Okay.
college. It's like, oh, I got into a big company, and this is, I'm as low as you can get in the whole company, right? And I was a little bored. I mean, literally, people would call and say, I'd like to buy a business report, and then I'd sell them a business report, and then the next person would pop in. So in my little boredom, and by the way, they had done extremely excessive training on their products and services. So even though I was an inbound order taker, I knew everything they sold and how it was used. They were great with training.
Mm-hmm.
So I started asking questions solely out of boredom, not with any other alternative, except I wanted to have a real conversation in my 8-hour day. And, I'd start to learn about these people and I'd recognize they had needs beyond that we could solve beyond what they were buying.
Okay.
I made an hourly rate. There were no bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
There were not, like, it was not that kind of role. One woman called in and so excited. She got a huge order from a big department store. It was like game changer for her whole business. And, because I was talking to her, I learned all of these wonderful things, biggest order she ever had. And she started talking about how she had to go, like, buy supplies in order to fulfill this. And I happened to be looking at another report that we offered that she wasn't buying with some aha information that I could see
Mm-hmm.
that she wasn't going to get paid for 180 days because that was their trend of payment for her
Mm.
industry. And I couldn't tell her that. She didn't buy the information. So I said, look, for $50, there's a report I think you should buy. And once you buy it, I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had such good training, I said, they're going to pay you late. Doesn't mean it's not a great opportunity. You need to go get a bridge loan.
Mm-hmm.
We were trained, right? She did that, went out. 6 months later, the president of our division comes down, calls me in the office. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? He's like, you changed this woman's world. She could have gone bankrupt.
Mm.
But because you spent the time
Yeah.
to find out what she was doing, what she needed, you sold her more than she called for, that saved her whole entire business.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to teach everyone in this call center and in our Texas call center how you did that.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know, 23, 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is cool. So I worked with their trainers and we put down together a curriculum. And I, in 6 weeks, became a sales trainer
Mm.
solely out of what I did naturally. And then I got to train. So throughout my career, I was always the person that was the ride along. Oh, new in the company, go ride with Brynne. New, trying to figure out how to get on a call with the prospect, sit in with Brynne, right? And so my whole career, and I didn't leave sales because the money was in sales, not in training.
Mm-hmm.
But I did this whole parallel of sales and training. And then I launched a sales training business with a partner. A few years in, I'm like, I'm good at sales training. I'm really great at this LinkedIn thing and I have a lot of passion. I said, this is all I want to do. She gave me a hug. She said, when the trend is over, come on back. And that was almost 9 years ago.
Still waiting for the trend to be over. If anything, it's growing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's such a great story, Brent. It's amazing the conversations that I have with different sales professionals at an elite level. When I ask them that question about how they got started, the accidental answer is one of the more popular ones. It wasn't a plan. It wasn't, I don't think people wake up thinking this is the career path I'm going to go into sometimes. It just kind of unfolds. So that's so
Absolutely.
great. So tell me a bit more about your LinkedIn sales training. I know, like with a lot of tools, there's people out there that use it really, really well, and there's other people that use it not so well. And I'm going to go there. I'm going to ask, what about the people that are on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn trolls that the split second you connect with them, they're selling to you. I know you're different. Tell me about what you guys do.
Yeah. Well, let's just talk first about how broken that
Sure,
is.
please.
The connect and pitch is a bait and switch.
Yep.
This is the absolute worst way to sell. It is the fastest way to get blocked. It's the fastest way to be seen as a scammer. You're spamming them. You are actually doing exactly the opposite of what you want to achieve.
Hmm.
What we want to achieve is a level of thought leadership and subject matter expertise where people are looking at us because of the value that we're bringing, and we'll talk about value and what that really means, but the value in their perception, like, wow, that was a great tip.
Hmm.
I'm interested in learning more. And the so what's broken is when we want to tell them all the things we can do for them, how we can help their company, when in reality we need to actually help them,
Yeah.
not tell them we can help them, but bring true value,
Hmm.
not the salesperson's perspective of value, but the person consuming that. If it gets them curious and thinking differently about their current situation, while we're providing some insights that make them go, wonder how that would be here.
Hmm.
Or what would that look like with our team? That's where you start to earn the right to get the conversation. So, social selling done well is about detaching from what the prospect is worth to us
Hmm.
and attaching to what we are worth to them.
Oh, that's perfectly described. That's right on point. I'm so happy you said it that way. I I often run into this question with people, and I talk with people all the time about it. It's very challenging in the world we live in today because there are so many options with the advent of technology and social media and all these things. And I'm reminded over and over again that people don't really care. They don't care about us, right? Not that they don't care, but they don't care about us. But they do care what
Yet,
we can do
yet.
for them. Yet, correct. Which
Right,
is a
right.
perfect way of describing it. One of the things that I've noticed too, and maybe it's because you can find 1,000 different options from your mobile phone nowadays. How do you see elite performers standing out from everybody else? What are they doing differently?
Well, there's a lot of things. I think the very first thing they're doing is they're understanding what value means to the consumer of the content. So
Hmm.
that's the first thing. We as salespeople, as CEOs, anyone who's responsible for bringing in new business, we have a perception of what we think is valuable,
Hmm.
and we put it out there. And sometimes we wonder, why aren't people engaging, or why are the wrong people engaging? So I'm going to give you a perfect example. I had a financial professional uh, client who was getting engagement
Hmm.
and was really excited and came to me, just started our course, said, I'm getting engagement. I said, great, let's look at who they are. And all of them were other financial professionals.
Mm.
None of them were prospects. So I said, why do you think this is happening? He's like, I don't know. It's obviously good content. I'm getting engagement. I said, you're putting content out from Market Watch. The people that care about Market Watch are people that are hyper aware of the
Yeah.
market, that your buyers are hyper aware of their business, of running their day to day as an entrepreneur, what's happening with them. They don't have time to look at what's happening in the market.
Hmm.
They are high. So any value that you can bring to them or will attract them needs to be in direct alignment with their day-to-day mission, their goals, what they're thinking about, what challenges they're going through right now. And so it's not going to be, necessarily what does retirement look like in 10 years, because they just want to make payroll this month.
Hmm.
So we really have to step back. So one of the biggest mistakes people make, and I don't even remember what your question was. We'll have to figure. I go back to that. But one of the biggest mistakes that they make, oh, I think it's what do they do differently?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go to that. The biggest mistakes they make is they're sharing content they want to share, not content that their buyers want to consume.
Mm,
So really getting down to that. So what else are these great people doing? So they're sharing content their buyers want to consume. Then they're engaging with everyone that engages. So maybe 6 people like it and you have one comment. They're like, "Oh, that was terrible." Look at who commented, comment back. Look at the 6 people and get in their inbox. I'm glad you found value in this. I have other content around X, Y, and Z. If you're interested, let me know. I'm happy to share
mm-hmm.
more. Now, they're blown away. By the way, the more needs to be also of great value, not a pitch, not about you, not and I personally love third party
Mm-hmm.
content, not even your own content. But if you liked this, I listened to a podcast 2 weeks ago with Mark Hunter. There's some great insights. If you're interested, let me know. I'll send you a
Mm-hmm.
link. So the key is in that third piece, which is it's permission based.
Yeah.
Our inbox is sacred.
Mm,
And the reason we feel so icky when people connect and pitch is because you just invaded in my personal space.
mm,
You just came in on your terms into my bedroom. It's an invasion of your personal space. So the ones that are doing this really really well, everything is permission based. Hey Joe, I'm not sure if you're exploring X, Y, and Z, but if you are, I listened to this great podcast. Here were some of my takeaways. If you're interested, let me know. I'll send you a link.
mm-hmm.
You're like, wow,
Yeah.
permission based.
Okay.
Because now 2 things I think happen. Well, let's go. If I sent you the link, you have the link. There's no reason for any communication to happen beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
You can click through, you can not click through. You might feel spammed, you might not feel spammed. But if I ask you if you want the link and you have any tiny bit of interest, if you don't respond to me, you'll never have the link.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is it respecting the inbox, but it's creating conversation.
That's perfect. And you're absolutely right. When you talk about respecting the inbox, it seems like when you look at the average message that comes into your inbox, there's usually only one or two reactions that you may have. One might be, ooh, kind of like, I'm interested. I want to look at this a little bit more. Or, ugh, what am I looking at here? Why am I getting this? What is this person doing? And there's really little in between. And I think what you
Mhm.
just described is so powerful. Permission based content sharing, being able to show people, here's some relevant information if you'd like it. And if you'd like it, you're not only solidifying that, they're getting good information, but they're getting it from you. And what
Yes.
you said, I think, is really important for our listeners to pay attention to. If you're an entrepreneur or a newer sales professional and you question whether you have a contribution to make because you're early
Mhm.
in your career, what Brynne just said was so powerful. It doesn't have to yet be all your content. It could be somebody else's relevant information or content, or just something that would be a resource of value to them. So that's very powerful, Brynne.
Absolutely. So I'm just gonna, and I love that. I love that you're 100% right. Um, what I want to mention from a perspective is we need to treat these people on the other side of the message the same way we would if we were on the other side of the table. If we were in person, it's the same human being, by the way.
Hmm.
If
Most of the
we,
time. Most of the time, it's the same human being.
well, yeah, or right. The other way, when they're pitching you, it's probably outsourced or AI or something, which is really bad. That's like sending a robot to a trade show with your business cards to walk around to build rapport. To me, that's just completely inauthentic and it's icky.
Hmm.
It really is. But the key is if you met someone at a trade show, at a business card exchange, and you had a conversation, you don't pitch your stuff first. You have this small talk,
Hmm.
typically around the keynote topic or the topic of whatever the the that particular conference is based
Hmm.
around. So when we're having that kind, kind of conversation. They engaged on your content. I'm going to give another hint in a minute, which is really good to do. We would not immediately jump into what we do. We wait till they say, so tell me what you do.
Mm-hmm.
We start with small talk. Maybe we can bring value into that conversation. But we want to get, they will listen to what we do when they ask.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't ask, they're not going to listen
Correct.
because they feel like they're being pitched. That's in person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an in-person tip. If I start with, hey, Joe, I'm Brynne Tillman. I help sales professionals grow their business by leveraging LinkedIn to start more conversations. Is that something you'd be interested in? You'd be like, you would never start that
Yeah.
way, but we start that way. But I might go in this case, hey, Joe, what brings you here today?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the keynote topic. Oh my gosh, I love him. He brings so much value, right? Oh, did you hear his podcast the other week? Oh, you should, like, that's a normal conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do that here. Here's another tip you said if you're just starting out and maybe you put out content and no one's engaging. Go find content that your buyers are engaging on. Find, a Mark Hunter, a Jeb Blunt, someone who's engaged, got 40, 50, 60 people
Mm-hmm.
engaging, as long as you're not a direct competitor, because then it gets
Yeah.
icky. But if they're engaging, if they are attracting, if they are magnets to your buyer, it's like Mark Hunter is the keynote. We're all here to hear him speak. We get to network with all the people that are here.
Mm-hmm.
So that his content is the keynote. All the people that are engaging, the likes, the comments, those are all people in the audience. And we're here to network. So I want to see who's liking his stuff. So I see, hey, Joe liked Mark Hunter's post. I want to get to know Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So I reach out, hey Joe, I saw you liked you were engaged on Mark Hunter's post. I'm not sure if you heard him on the Impact Sales podcast a couple weeks ago, but he was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested, I'm happy to send you that link. I didn't talk about me. I just talked about what we had in common, which is our love for Mark Hunter,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that though that's how we can start to look at LinkedIn and engaging. So the ones that are doing it right are treating it truly like I'm engaging with a human being, not a lead on a
Mm.
list.
Yeah, that's so powerful. One of the things too that you said too, and you described it as part of the conversation, but it's also very subtle, but it's important to recognize you should almost never be the first one talking about what it is that you do. If you're engaging somebody, I still remember one of my first mentors in business. I was a young professional, and he said these interactions are a lot like standing on a cold street. You want to get inside so you can have a conversation. Hold the door for whoever it is. Let them go in first. Let them talk first. And I still remember that conversation because sometimes sales professionals think they have to get out there and start talking first because they're not going to get a chance if they don't. And it's actually the opposite. If you do that, you probably won't get a chance because 9 times out of 10 you'll that icky feeling will creep in versus let the other person talk about who they are, what they're about, and what they do. And then naturally, organically they'll say, "And what do you do, Brent?" And then an opportunity is
Right.
is there the right way.
And until they ask, don't tell them.
Exactly. That's so
Yeah.
true.
Now the other thing you can do to piggyback on that, because I love that, is I might engage. I might say, "Hey, are you interested in Mark Hunter's podcast interview?" And they say, "Yeah." Now I may say, "Who else do you follow?"
Mm, excellent.
Right? Yeah. What other sales geniuses are you inspired by?
Hmm.
Like, let's just have that conversation. And then I might say, yeah, oh, I really like that, or I don't know him. I'm going to go search him, right? Just a normal conversation around the topic they already found valuable. So that's the key, right?
Hmm.
We found them because they engaged on a topic. They are the right person we want to have a conversation with. And by the way, if your profile is positioned as a resource, not a resume,
Hmm.
At one point, they're going to click through and look at what you do. They're going to look at, you take your, and they go, oh, that's what she does.
Hmm.
And I can't tell you how many, and sometimes it's like 6 or 7 back and forth. They're sending me podcasts of somebody, and like, and again, I don't say anything until they ask,
Hmm.
right? Um, but there is a point where they go, I see on your profile you help people with Sales Navigator. We were thinking about buying it, but we're not sure. It's a big investment. What do you think? That's they now have
Hmm.
gone into the door and now have invited me in.
Mm.
And at that point, I go, it really depends. Let's hop on a quick call. I'll understand a little bit more about your sales process and we can figure out if it makes sense for you and your team or not.
That's perfect.
Right. But all I did was keep the conversation going, the rapport building. If it's going a little too slowly for me, I'll look at their profile and ask them something else about them.
Hmm.
Hey, I noticed you've been at that company 22 years. I never see that anymore. What's your favorite thing about working there?
Mm.
Right. So naturally in conversation, we're going to move that forward. And they're like, wow, she really looked at my profile.
Yep.
She really took the time to do that. The key is, though, guys, we look at technology that we want to speed everything up fast, 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 fast. Rapport and relationships are no different.
Mm.
You can't say because it's technology that we're going to go, there's a faster way to building a relationship. Technology doesn't do that. It's a faster to hello. It's not a faster to rapport and relationship and
Mm.
value. So we need to slow down our outreach to speed up the outcome.
Oh, that's so true. In fact, I heard that very same thing in a different way earlier this week. So one of the conversations that I have a lot of, Brynne, with people is, this difference between value and impact. And, we talk a lot about it with our brand, the Sales Activist, in that value is a very logical decision making process for people. It's something that you provide something, it makes sense, it within our budget, and we're going to do that. It's a logical choice. Versus impact is truly an emotional ride. It's something that means a little bit
Mhm.
more. And we talk about what we call the impact line. And it's kind of where elite performers tend to really just get started and start digging deeper into what's going on with the business. If your business is going to be saved $200,000 by some new decision that you make, well, what are you going to do with the $200,000? How are you going to leverage it? What other new things are you going to do? It's impact driven. And I've noticed this in the conversations with, all the top performers that I have. They never seem to stop at just value because they know that anybody can do that. It's always something deeper and more relevant and more personal. What are you seeing out there?
Mhm. So, impact, well, so on social, impact creates compelling
Mm.
moments, right? Value, I might read this and go, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm going to take some notes on that. That's interesting. I can see that. Impact moves them from a lurker to an engager, moves them from, that's interesting to, I can really see how this is going to transform my
Hmm.
business. I need to talk with them. So you can bring a lot of value in your LinkedIn feed with content. You can bring a lot of value. Impact creates the sales conversation. The impact that you make and you can make impact without talking to
Hmm.
them, right? You can make, but value might be, oh, that was a good tip. Impact is, wow, that could transform the way I do
Mm.
things, right? So there's a lot of things in value. You could say, hey, Brynne, um, there's a sale on, um, books on Amazon. You should go check it out this week, right? There's value to that. I buy
Sure.
lots of books, so you might save me some money. But impact is, hey, Bryn, there is a book that I read, and as a CEO, you might get some real value. Here's the transformative things that I learned from this,
Hmm.
and how it can absolutely make a difference, not just for you, but for your employees, for your customers, right? And now I have this vision of how whatever it is you're sharing is going to change the way I do
Mm.
things, change the way I go to market, change the way I hire. Like it's not just, hey, that's a great idea. That could be valuable. It's that it has it's a significant value that isn't just, hey, that's cool, but like my whole trajectory could actually be affected by this in a positive
Mhm.
way. That's why it becomes emotional,
Yeah.
right? So you keep, I read a book a long time ago, Built to Sell.
Mhm.
It's not the greatest book ever, but it creates this, how do I grow a business that's scalable without me so that I can go, so the impact it had, was it the best book I ever read? No, but it constantly is in my head because I'm dreaming of when I do these things what my life will look like. I'm not just like, hey, that's good, I can do this
Mhm.
thing, but when I can scale this and step back a little and still have revenue being generated without me, that's the impact.
Mhm.
Right? And that's why it becomes emotional, because it changes my world,
Yeah.
not just, hey, that was clever.
Yep. It's one of the things too,
And you can do that.
no question.
Video. Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you describe, value and impact, one of the things that I've noticed as well, because of the society we live in, people are much less loyal to things than they might be before because they have so many options, right? They're able to go jump and go find somebody else to do certain things. But the one thing that I've
Mhm.
noticed about elite performers, especially those that spend a lot of time on impact, is they have fewer of those issues. They have fewer competitive issues. Not that they don't lose business, but they usually don't, simply because their clients recognize that they're one of the few people that actually ask those types of questions. There's something
Mhm.
unique about them. They stand out. They really are different. They become, as you mentioned, that trusted advisor, that person that
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
kind of has like a seat at their table when it comes to the decisions that they make. And that's so powerful
Mhm.
in the marketplace. And, from a conversational standpoint, it starts right at the beginning. If you lay that foundation, you really start it
Mhm.
early. And that's a large part of the work that you do. Now, I wanted to ask because it's something that, our listeners really like to know. If you were to summarize the top two things that sales professionals should do or focus on, what would your top
Can I
two
say
be? You
4?
could say four, absolutely.
Mhm.
Go ahead. What are your top four?
Number
Yep.
1, make sure that your profile is a resource for your buyers, not your resume.
Mm,
I want them to test drive the value, the impact that they have right from your profile. That's your landing page.
mm-hmm,
If it's your resume, you're going to lose a lot of opportunity. Number 2, make sure you are leveraging content and engaging to start conversations. You don't need a whole lot of original content. I mean, I love original content. If you have time and resources to do it, great. But you can use content to bring value,
mm,
to have an impact on someone, to earn the right to get that sales conversation, even if you've never written one word.
mm,
There's just curating the right content, following the right people can have a huge impact. Number 3, nurture your existing connections. One of the biggest mistakes we make is connect and forget. We have thousands of connections, and most likely 10% of them are people we should be having conversations
yeah.
with. So take inventory of who you're connected to and really reach out with a personal video message or something that they don't feel like it was a templated message that went out to everyone. Here's a little key. If you have someone, but you don't know how you connected or why you connected, and they're not going to remember you, but you really want a conversation with them, if you go to their contact information at the very bottom, you can see the date you connected. So I might say, hey, Joe, we connected back in June of 2015. I'm sure you don't remember me. Or something like, maybe I won't. Actually, I'm going to change that. Joe, I'm not sure if you remember me, but we connected back in June of 2015. When your name came up on LinkedIn, I did a little digging into your profile and I thought it'd be really great for us to chat. Happy to bring insights around X, Y, and Z. And I'd love to learn about a little bit what you're doing around A, B, and C. If you're open, let me know your preferred way of scheduling. If it happens to be via calendar link, here's mine,
Mm.
right? Easy. Make it a video message, or I've posted, if it happens to be calendar link, I've posted a link below. Little quick video message. Two things happen. Joe is like, I don't remember connecting with her, but she remembers that we connected in June of 2015.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you know that, right?
You go, how do I ignore that?
Gotta ask. Have to
And
ask.
yeah, so that's crazy that she remembers that. Literally, contact information, scroll down, date. Joe, not sure if you recall, but we connected back in June of 2015. No, very few people ignore that
Mm,
because they feel like they matter so much. You remembered that,
mm. That's a great, great tip. Wow.
and you can't use that in your automation. That is so
Mm-hmm.
personalized that they really feel like you took the time to reach out to them personally. It doesn't feel like a canned
Mm.
message.
So true. Wow, that's great, Bryn. I told you I was gonna have some of those sales geek moments. I've got little goosebumps here listening to some of the stuff you're talking about with this. So impactful. I appreciate you sharing
Oh,
this.
there's number four.
Yes,
I
you
only
gave me
did
three. I'm
three.
waiting. What's the fourth one?
Number four, your clients love you. Leverage them. LinkedIn allows you to search their connections to identify who they know
Mm-hmm.
that you might want to meet and run the names by them. Because if you've got 10 or 12 clients that absolutely adore you and each of them get you in front of two or three people, if you have a 20% close rate, you've got two or three new clients coming in the
Yep.
door. So leverage their Rolodex. You have access to
Mm.
it.
If you've not read Bryn's Rolodex story, make sure you check out her LinkedIn profile because there's a nice little story about the Rolodex right there in her profile right at the beginning. I think it's important you understand these things. I remember it. I've been there myself. See, envious of that
Mhm.
Rolodex in the desk. And yes, we date ourselves a little bit when we say these things. But Bryn, this has been great. Thank you so much for your time and sharing this information. It really has been a pleasure. Anything before we wrap up that you'd like to share with our audience?
Just be a real human being out there. Just be authentic. Start real conversations. If you're an empathetic person, carry it over here. Just you're going to build relationships and rapport at the same speed you would if you were in an in-person meeting. Don't treat it any differently. Don't try to shortcut
Mm,
it.
perfect. Great advice. Bryn, thank you so much. Just want to again thank you for your time. This is Joe Beck with the Sales Activist with our guest, Brynne Tillman. Thank you so much for joining us today. And like we say at the Impact Sales Podcast, sell better and impact the world. Take care. Hi, this is Joe Beck with the Sales Activist. Are you hearing prospects say to you constantly, we're just not quite ready to move forward? Or, it's just not in our budget this quarter or this year, or that's your price, it's just way too expensive. If you're hearing that, I'd like to help. For well over 30 years, I've helped entrepreneurs and sales professionals position sales successfully. During those 30 years and after tens of thousands of live sales interactions, I've learned the secret to sales success, and I built it all into a proprietary sales success system. This system has been used to train thousands of entrepreneurs and sales professionals, and I'd like to share with you some of the insights of this system. You can schedule a complimentary impact sales strategy session to talk about what's going on with sales in your business and what objections are holding you back. It would be my pleasure to talk with you about sales in your business and do whatever I can to help you move in the right direction. This Impact Sales Strategy session is completely complimentary, and our only goal is to help you understand sales better so you can impact the world. You can schedule your session by texting the word sales to the number 321-421-5213 or going onto our website at www.thesalesactivist.com. This is Joe Beck, and I look forward to speaking with you. We're back with the Impact Sales Podcast. This is Joe Beck, and wow, I am just going back over my conversation with Brynne Tillman, and thinking through some of the things that we were talking about. I know there's people that have been listening to this that are thinking back to all the interactions that they screwed up. I know I was going through a bunch of them going, well, I wish I had approached this differently or that differently. And I'll tell you, the world we live in today is so different with the advent of social media and how you can engage more people if you do it the right way. And Brynne just was literally sharing some gold as it relates to how you want to approach people, how you want to handle the interaction, just the general tone of what you should do and how you want to separate yourself from the other people out there that aren't doing it. Look, nobody wants to be that awkward person that immediately starts selling and pitching to people. The best thing that you can do for yourself and the success of your business is to slow down, focus on being conversational, and build some social interaction with the people that you're talking to. It doesn't have to involve an initial sale. It could just be cultivating a relationship that takes a little longer to lead to business. But I will tell you, it is so powerful to do that because not only do you open doors and keep them open for yourself, but you don't run the risk of alienating extremely valuable prospects because you rub them the wrong way and approach them too aggressively at the beginning of the process. I thought Brynne did a great job highlighting exactly how important these things are. And more importantly, how you can really handle yourself in a way that stands out from everybody else out there. Look, we all want to be memorable. We all want to change the world. We all want to make sure that across the board, we do things that impact people in a positive way. So why don't we start our interactions that way? Why don't we start in a social way and truly cultivate a relationship instead of aggressively trying to force ourselves or what we offer on people? See, in today's world, no matter how fast it gets, we have to remember to slow down and focus on building things relationally, establishing good conversations, productive dialogues, whether it's online or in person, and selling social. You'll find that you're going to have a much higher level of success. Your referrals will increase, and overall, your general business will grow at a much faster pace. So, once again, I want to thank Brynne Tillman for joining us today in our main segment. It was great to have her in the studio. And I will tell you that don't miss the opportunity to capture what game changers like Brynne are doing out in the world every single day. Make sure you stay tuned to every episode of the Impact Sales Podcast. This is Joe Beck with the Sales Activist. Don't forget, sell better and impact the world. Talk to you soon.